Imagine you are sitting in your car. You hear the engine roar to life and the fuel tank is topped off. But when you shift into drive and press the gas pedal, the car stays perfectly still. The engine is revving, the wheels are capable of turning, but the transmission has been physically severed. This is the terrifying reality of a condition known as myasthenia gravis. Welcome to Dr. Levitas. It is a state where your brain is perfectly healthy and screaming the command to lift, walk, or even just breathe. Your muscles are structurally intact and fully capable of generating force. But the communication bridge between the two has been burned to the ground. You are essentially a prisoner inside a high-performance machine where the wires have been cut. Today, we are exploring one of the most daunting disorders in the world of neurology. We are talking about the rag doll disease. We are uncovering how your own immune system turns into a saboteur, why your strength vanishes as the sun goes down, and the life-saving science used to rebuild the bridge between your mind and your body. Please hit the like button and leave a comment. Your engagement is a huge help to the channel. To understand why the muscle stops hearing the brain, we have to look at the most important handshake in human biology, the neuromuscular junction. In a healthy body, every movement you make is the result of a chemical conversation. When your brain decides to move a muscle, an electrical impulse travels down a motor nerve until it reaches the end, the neuromuscular junction or NMJ. Because the nerve and the muscle don't actually touch, the nerve has to throw a chemical message across the gap. That message is a neurotransmitter called acetylcholine. On the other side of the gap, the muscle is covered in thousands of tiny mitts called acetylcholine receptors. When the acetylcholine lands in the receptor, it acts like a key in a lock, triggering an electrical surge that causes the muscle to contract. Myasthenia gravis is officially classified as an autoimmune neuromuscular disorder. Autoimmune means your immune system, the very thing designed to protect you from viruses and bacteria, has made a catastrophic mistake. It has started producing rogue antibodies that identify your own acetylcholine receptors as the enemy. Think of it like this: your brain is sending the mail, the acetylcholine, but your immune system has gone ahead and superglued the mailboxes shut. Or worse, it's gone down the street and ripped the mailboxes right out of the ground. The brain is screaming the command, the chemical is being sent, but there is nowhere for it to land. The bridge is severed. One of the most unique and frustrating aspects of myasthenia gravis is that it isn't a constant paralysis. It is a fluctuating weakness. Patients with it often wake up feeling relatively strong. Because during sleep, the body has a chance to replenish its stores of acetylcholine. The first few times you use a muscle in the morning, the brain throws enough chemical mail that a few of the remaining unglued mailboxes catch it. The handshake happens. You feel normal. But as the day goes on and you continue to move, you use up that surplus of acetylcholine. Because so many of your receptors have been destroyed or blocked by antibodies, your margin for error is gone. With every repetitive movement, brushing your teeth, climbing stairs, or even just keeping your eyes open, the communication becomes harder and harder to sustain. By the evening, the bridge is so crowded with rogue antibodies and so depleted of chemical messengers that the signal simply stops getting through. This is why the hallmark of myasthenia gravis is fatigability, weakness that gets progressively worse with activity and improves with rest. If you are a neurologist looking for myasthenia gravis, you don't start with the bicep or the quadriceps. You start with the eyes. The muscles that control your eyelids and your eye movements are some of the most active and hard-working muscles in your entire body. Because they are used constantly throughout the day, they are often the first to exhaust their receptors. Over 50% of people with myasthenia first notice symptoms in their eyes. This manifests as ptosis, a drooping of one or both eyelids, and diplopia, or double vision, because the tiny muscles that coordinate your eyes are no longer in sync. Doctors often perform a stress test for the eyes. They might ask a patient to look upward for 2 full minutes without blinking. In a healthy person, this is easy. In someone with MG, you can literally watch the eyelids slowly, uncontrollably sink toward the floor as the receptors fail. Interestingly, there's also the ice pack test. Placing cold on the eyelid can temporarily improve the weakness because cold slows down the enzyme that breaks down acetylcholine, keeping the mail in the gap longer. If the antibodies are the soldiers attacking the bridge, we have to ask, where are they being trained? The answer often lies in a small, forgotten organ in your chest called the thymus gland. The thymus is part of your immune system. In children, it's a massive training camp where T cells learn how to identify friends from foes. Usually, the thymus shrinks and turns to fat as we hit adulthood. However, in many people with myasthenia gravis, the thymus stays large or even develops small tumors called thymomas. It essentially becomes a rogue training camp that continues to pump out instructions to the immune system to keep attacking the neuromuscular junction. This is why one of the most common surgical treatments for MG is a thymectomy, the physical removal of the thymus gland. By shutting down the training camp, we can often see a dramatic reduction in antibody production and, in some cases, a complete remission of the disease. Up until now, we've talked about drooping eyelids or tired arms. But myasthenia gravis has a dark, lethal side that every patient and caregiver must understand. We have to talk about the myasthenic crisis. The bridge isn't just used for walking or lifting, it is used to control your diaphragm and your intercostal muscles, the engines that power your breathing. A myasthenic crisis occurs when the weakness becomes so severe that the muscles used for breathing can no longer function. This is a medical emergency. The brain is screaming breathe, but the diaphragm hears nothing. Triggers like a common flu, surgery, or even extreme emotional stress can cause an antibody spike that completely severs the bridge to the lungs. In this state, the patient requires a ventilator to breathe for them while doctors use aggressive treatments like plasmapheresis or IVIG to calm the immune storm. It is a sobering reminder that our physical strength is entirely dependent on a microscopic chemical handshake. The good news is that while we cannot cure MG yet, we have become incredibly good at hacking the communication bridge to keep it open. In a healthy body, after the acetylcholine lands in the receptor, an enzyme called acetylcholinesterase rushes in to chew it up and clear the gap for the next signal. It's the cleanup crew. But in myasthenia gravis, we want the acetylcholine to stick around as long as possible to increase the chances of it finding a rare, unblocked mailbox. Modern medicine uses a class of meds called acetylcholinesterase inhibitors, like pyridostigmine. These meds act as a restraining order for the cleanup crew. They stop the enzyme from breaking down the chemical mail. This allows the acetylcholine to pile up in the gap, forcing the handshake to happen despite the immune system's sabotage. It doesn't fix the receptors, but it makes the brain scream much louder and more persistent. Here is the doctor's verdict: strength can be reclaimed. Myasthenia gravis is a challenging, often invisible war. It is a condition that requires a profound amount of patience, not just from the person living with it, but from everyone around them. It is a reminder that our ability to move, to speak, and to smile is a delicate, miraculous gift of chemistry. If you or someone you love is navigating this severed bridge, I want you to know that you are not alone, and the science is moving faster than ever. We are moving toward targeted biologics that can silence the rogue antibodies without suppressing the entire immune system. The bridge can be rebuilt. Strength can be reclaimed. I want to hear from you in the comments. What is one way you support your neurological health or manage your own energy throughout the day? Let's keep the conversation, and the handshake, going. Until next time, stay curious, stay resilient, and take care of your nerves. Watch this video suggestion, it was especially picked for you. Please share, comment, like the video, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. Thank you, it helps a ton with the algorithm. Remain tuned for future videos and keep growing.